Hola mis estudiantes. Our topic for today is going to be preterite stem changers. So we've already talked about stem changers in the present tense. So now we're going to figure out what are the rules for our stem changers in the preterite tense. Make sure that you've got your notes in front of you, and we can go ahead and get started. So first, we're going to kind of review our stem changers in the present tense and kind of build our knowledge from that into our new information in the preterite. So your notes don't necessarily follow the video word by word. So this first slide, I'm going to have you just hang with me for that first part, and then I'll tell you when it kind of correlates with your notes. So make sure that you're paying attention, kind of refreshing how we put together stem changers in the present tense. So remember, we call these boot verbs because this stem change or a spelling change that takes place in the stem happens inside the boot in our conjugation. So we do not have a stem change in the nosotros and vosotros conjugations. Remember, we've got four types of stem changers in the present tense. We've got E to IE, E to I, O to UE, and U to UE. And all three types of verbs, AR, ER, and IR verbs, stem change in the present tense. And if you'll remember, the only way to know if a verb stem changes is if we just have to memorize it. So that's why on your tres minutos I had you guys identify if your verb was a stem changer or not. I know that threw some people through a loop. So let's go ahead and transition and talk about, I don't know why my video is up here. There we go. Let's go ahead and talk about our stem changes then in the preterite tense. So this is where your notes are going to come in. So we call these flip-flop verbs because the stem change happens in the flip-flop. So you're actually in the number 3 right now in your notes. So only stem change in the él, ella, en usted, and ellos, ellas, en ustedes conjugations. And I gave you a little chart there that you can shade in those two conjugations. So we call these flip-flop verbs because they make kind of the flip-flop shape. Only IR verbs, so we're back to number 1. Only IR verbs stem change in the preterite tense. So our stem changers that are in the AR and ER, don't have to worry about them. And then our IR verbs are the only verbs that stem change, or IR verbs that stem change in the present will stem change in the past. So we're not going to have a new set of verbs that stem change. Okay, so it has to have a stem change in the present tense in order to be a stem changer in the preterite tense. And then finally, we only have two types of stem changers, E to I and O to U. So here's a common list or verbs that stem change in the preterite tense. These are either verbs that you are familiar with or verbs that you are going to see here down the line. So go ahead and look at that list and identify by circling which of those verbs stem change in the preterite tense. And if there's a verb that you don't know what it means, like if you were sure that seguir means to follow, you might want to go ahead and make that note on your list. So you might want to hit pause and work through this for a little bit, and then I'll be back to give you some examples. Okay, so sometimes it's easy to see just the conjugation chart, which will help out. So preferir means to prefer. Since preferir, it's an E to I stem changer because that's the only stem change option. It can't be an O to U because it doesn't have an O. So anyway, so our top 4 conjugations are going to just be the same like an IR verb. Preferí, preferiste, preferimos, preferisteis. But we've got that stem change in our flip-flop or our él, ella, en usted, and ellos, ellas, en ustedes conjugations. So that second E changes to an I, prefirió, and in the ellos, ellas, en ustedes, prefirieron. So notice that E changes to an I. And then morir, I know it's very morbid, but morir means to die. Since it's got an O, it is an O to U stem changer. Again, those top 4 conjugations are just like an IR verb. Mori, moriste, murió, or morimos, moristeis. And I don't know why there's an accent on this. There shouldn't be an accent there. That's embarrassing. We'll fix that. And then our LA and usted conjugation, that O is going to change to a U. So murió. And same thing with our ellos, ellas, and ustedes murieron. That O is going to change to a U. So here's an opportunity for you to stop and practice. So notice you've got 5 conjugations down at the bottom. I'm going to ask that you go ahead and hit pause and write what those conjugations would mean in the, or what that conjugations would be in the preterite tense. Bonus challenge, can you tell me what they mean? So what is ellos, and then the conjugation of repetir, what does that mean? So go ahead and hit pause. We'll check your answers here shortly. All right, here we go. Repitieron is going to be they repeated. Notice we are going to have a stem change because repetir is an IR verb, and we are in the flip-flop. Almorzar in the to form. What do we notice about our verb almorzar? It's an AR verb, therefore we are not going to have a stem change. Only IR verbs can stem change. Also, we know that we're outside of the flip-flop, so we wouldn't have a stem change anyway. Mentir in the yo form. Although mentir is an IR verb, again, we are outside of the flip-flop, therefore we are not going to have a stem change. It is conjugated just like a regular IR verb. Menti, I lied. Number 4, dormir. Dormir is an O to U stem changer, and it's an IR verb, and we are, Talia is someone's name. So we are going to have a stem change, dormió. And notice our endings are the same. So our conjugations are still the same. We just have that slight stem change. And then finally, number 5, entender in the ella form. Notice entender is an ER verb, therefore we are not going to have a stem change, despite the fact that we are in that flip-flop. She understood. So make sure you jot down any questions that you have. We're going to do quite a bit of practice with this, and I will see you guys in class. Gracias!